Hi, this is Reverend Ken. Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to like and share our video and comment on the video. It will mean a great deal to us. It will help spread our message out to a wider audience. So again, be sure to like us, to make a comment about us, or to share it with all your friends. It will do a great deal of good. Thank you so much. So let's begin our service with the opening reading and an affirmative prayer. Today I'm reading from my book, Whispers of Heaven. And in it I wrote, it's called a prayer practice, but that doesn't mean it has to be painless or joyless. Create a special time for yourself each day when you can contemplate the blessings of life. So let's put these words of wisdom to work in our lives, and we do that through affirmative prayer. I'm going to do this prayer in the first person. Take it in for yourself. But say something that works for you, hold tightly to that. But say something that doesn't work for you, just let that part slide by. But just know this truth with me today. There is but one God, one mind, and one power. And that power is perfect love. It's divine intelligence. And that power is flowing through me, with me, and for me. It is calling me on to the best of myself. So here today, I let go of every idea of lack or limitation. I lift my eyes up to a greater knowing. And today I know I am well on my way to solving every problem, every challenge that confronts me. God plus me as an answer to any situation I face. So I can move out with courage. I can move out in my life with conviction, knowing I've got the power and glory of God calling me on to the best of myself. This is my truth. I celebrate this right knowing, and I release this prayer into the mind of God to do its good and powerful work, returning to me multiplied abundantly. And together we say, and so it is. My talk title today is Spiritual Practice in Time of Crisis. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, he said, when things appear to be their worst, can be the most satisfying time to be involved in a spiritual affirmative prayer practice. But unfortunately, that's the time that most of us throw our practice out the window. My teacher, Dr. Kennedy Schultz, he said when things hit the fan, when we need our prayer work the most, that's when we most give it up. Because here's the truth. When the storm is raging the worst, that's when a moment of clarity can have the most power. And that's the reason it's important to have a spiritual community around yourself, or a prayer partner, someone who can call you back and remind you of the truth of yourself. Now, we're in the midst of a crisis, our nation, in fact, the world. It reminds me of a time I've been reading about in a book on World War II. It was after Britain had been facing Germany for over a year alone. America was getting involved in the war, and President Roosevelt sent a trusted advisor, Harry Hopkins, to go to London and review the situation and to come back and tell him how the British were facing up to the challenge. And he got back to America and he told the president, he said, these people are exhausted. And I think that's where we are in this point of this challenge. We are an exhausted people, and we need to take care of ourselves, and we need some hope and inspiration so we can move through this challenge. Because God knows these are challenging times. So be kind to yourself. Be nurturing to yourself. See if there's something you can do to make yourself healthier, happier, and more joyful and more creative. And while there may be some work on self-improvement, there doesn't have to be all work or all discomfort. Some people have the mistaken idea that all healing requires pain. Not always. And if we're doing it right, even if there is some discomfort involved, the goals will make that pain seem reasonable and we'll be willing to move through it. So we want to give ourselves a break. After all, we're only human. There was a wonderful song in the 80s I really liked so much. It was a one-hit wonder, Level 42. You're only human after all. This past week, I've been getting ready for a memorial service we're going to have on Saturday. It's for my wonderful friend and prayer partner here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Judy James. And so as I was preparing for her memorial, I thought it would be good to go back and listen to her readings and affirmations she did for our Sunday services. And I found one where she read a poem of hers, and it's for her family. And in the poem, she writes, "I wished I could have loved you more." And she went through the entire family, and she says, if I could have loved you more, we could have done this, we could have grown together, we could have had more fun. But you know, here's the thing. I know her family. They're not the Brady Bunch. And the love she gave them was actually really good. So we want to honor the good we are doing. If you see something that can make yourself happier or more joyful, more compassion, then take time to honor that. What we recognize and give gratitude blooms in our life. So we want to look for things that are beautiful and meditate on them. Right now in our area, the crepe myrtles are blooming, and they're really magnificent. So look for acts of kindness and beauty and compassion. I heard an amazing story this week about a street vendor in LA. He's in his 80s, and his life has been the street vendor, and he hasn't saved up, of course, a lot of money. He has an eye condition where he's losing his sight, but the operation was well out of his ability to pay for it. A young woman who's one of his customers found out about what he was going through, and she set up a GoFundMe site. I'm sure he's like me. He may have heard of GoFundMe, but he doesn't know much about it. But she set the site up and was able to raise over $80,000 for him to have his surgery. Well, that's a demonstration of the spirit of love, of God's compassion and kindness right in front of us. So we want to look for these things, meditate on them, and as we do, our ability to see more of them expands and it blooms and blossoms. Our wonderful friend Judy that I was talking about, she had a part of her life was poetry. She really emphasized her poetry, and it was really lovely. She had a place of creativity, and we want to do that as well. You want to have something that you can be creative about so that you have a space for spirit to show up in your life. You don't have to write the great American novel. It can just be something as simple to how to go through life, more enjoyable, with more fun. This past birthday, I got a SodaStream for one of my birthday gifts, and it's a machine that puts carbonation into just plain water. So I've been playing with it some, and I got some different flavors you can mix with it. There's watermelon and strawberry and kiwi. So then I got the bright idea, well, if one flavor works well, maybe if I combine the flavors, that would even work better. So some of them were all right. But eventually I was pushing the edge, and I got to where the water tasted more like furniture polish than it did just a water. So you tried something, it didn't work. What's the harm? At least you learned something. You know, we also started our Sunday evening services. We were doing them outdoors. When we started planning the service, the infection rates here in Florida weren't that high. But when we got to the place where we were doing the service, the infection rates had exploded. And also the humidity had really gone up. The humidity is so heavy here right now you can cut it with a knife. So we tried it for a month and it didn't seem to be working. So now we're going to try something else. This is a good practice, particularly if you don't beat yourself up about a mistake. You tried something, it didn't work, now you get to try something else. It's all letting you get to the place where you will find something will work wonderfully. And it keeps you interested and excited about life. You make a mistake, don't worry about it. At least you know what doesn't work. We also want to have a place of study in our life. Dr. Holmes, our founder, he really emphasized that we should always be learning in life. You're here to learn something. Right now, I've realized that a point of interest that I used to have, that I had not been focusing on very much for the past couple of years, is biographies. I really enjoy biographies. I've also found that on Amazon you can buy biographies, especially those that are a couple of years older, very cheap. I've just finished one on an amazing woman. Her name was Pamela Churchill Harriman. She was Churchill's daughter-in-law for a brief while. And after that, she went on to date and sometimes marry the best-looking and richest men of the world. One of her long-term affairs was with the owner of the Fiat company in Italy. But it's really an amazing life about having a bit of confidence in yourself. You can move out and see and experience the wonders of the world. So it's important for us in this period to take a moment away from all the turmoil and confusion and be sure to turn off the news. You remember one of the news channels used to say 30 minutes around the world. Well, after you've gone around the world one time, there's no need to go back around it again. And it's important for us to bring some silence in our lives. Silence is like water. The more you have of it, the more you want. And silence will keep us calm and peaceful, and it will bring us back to ourselves. And then we want to make sure we're invested in our affirmative prayer. Not just doing one prayer, but doing prayer all through the day. To have a prayerful life. And the scripture says to pray unceasing. And this is really our goal. The whole goal of our studies here at the Center for Spiritual Living, our goal of being a practitioner, is so that we pray all through the day. Now, it's nice if you have a special time where you do your prayers or a special place, but there's nothing wrong with praying while you brush your teeth. Or as Dionne Warwick sang, the moment I get up, I say a little prayer for you. People will tell me, well, I don't have time. How about when you wake up in the middle of the night? That's a wonderful and a powerful time to begin your prayers. Now, I used to say to do your prayers for yourself, for your family, for your friends, and then for someone you don't like that much. But I think now we need to change that up because I think we're in a critical place. So let me suggest to you to start doing your prayers for those that you're not so fond of. You know, we have a lovely neighbor next door, and she's put out a yard sign for a politician I'm not that fond of. And in fact, now she's added 2 yard signs and 2 flags. So in the middle of the night, I do prayers for her. I also do prayers for the politician. Now, they're probably not some of my best prayers, but at least I'm making the effort. And then I go to friends and family, and then to myself, because we don't want to be martyrs. Teaching is not about being a martyr at all. If you do your prayers, you will find that even if you don't go back to sleep, you will be rested and you will feel better. We need a world of prayers right now. Dr. Holmes, our founder, he says, realizing that God is all there is and God is perfect and that God is right where I am. There is something of the very core of myself, within my soul, that I have never been able to touch with all my fears and doubts. And it glows with the perfection of spirit. And as I acknowledge it, it empowers me to see more of it in the world. I choose to see myself and know myself as God sees and knows me, the best of me, the loving, kind, and compassionate part of me. God only knows goodness, so it only sees goodness. And when I know and acknowledge the goodness within myself, it empowers the goodness I am looking for outside of myself. So within, so without. There is nothing that separates me from the perfection of God. I am one with it, I am one in it, and I am one of it. Dr. Holmes goes on to say, I enter into the peace of God. My mind is free from confusion. I let my thoughts on this inner peace, letting go of every sense of doubt and fear, one with it, no separation. I am that which thou art, and thou art that which I am, one and the same. The glory and goodness of Spirit may manifest through me. And we are here so we can experience that power, that majesty of God's love for us. Not just in the breaking of the dawn, but in the dark of the night. So don't be dismayed by the troubles of this world. We'll soon be done with them. when we proclaim a greater truth for ourselves, for each other, for our nation and the world, when we create a vision of love and compassion so strong that the dark of fear and anger will flee it like the shadows fled the breaking dawn, when we step into our true selves, our God-filled selves, it's what we've been called to do. So let us get busy with God's work. Spirit has faith in us. It's never doubted us for a moment. And we are up to the task. It's the truth in your life today. It's the truth in mine. And so it is.
If you want to sing out, sing out. If you want to be free, be free. There's a million things to be. You know that there are. If you want to live high, live high. If you want to live low, live low. There's a million ways to go. You know that there are. You can do what you want. The opportunities are. And if you find a new way, you can do it today. You can make it all true. And it can happen to you. You'll see. See. You only need to know. Want to say yes, say yes. If you want to say no, say no. There's a million ways to go. You know that there are. If you want to be free, be free. If you want to be you, be you. There's a million things to do. You know that there are. What you want, the opportunities on. And if you find a new way, you can do it today. You can make it all true. It can happen to you. You'll see. It's easy. You only need to know. If you want to sing out, sing out. If you want to be low, sing low. There's a million ways to go. You know that there are. You want to be free, be free. If you want to be you, be you. There's a million things to do. You know that there are.
Elizabeth. So let's close our service with an affirmative prayer. Just know this truth with me today. There's but one God, one mind, one power. And that power is perfect love. It's divine intelligence. That power is flowing through me. It's empowering me. Every cell of my being radiates with this right knowing. This power is calling me on to be the best of myself. So here today, I turn loose of every doubt and every fear. I look past all the shadows of the world, for that's all they are, shadows. They have no power. They flee my right knowing like the shadows fled the morning sun. I am here in life to experience God's love, its joy, its kindness, and compassion. I am here to look out onto the world and be awed with all the beauty, all the love of all of God's children. This is my truth. I celebrate this right knowing, and I release this prayer unto the mind of God to do its good and purpose, bold and dynamic work, returning to me multiplied abundantly. And together we say, and so it is. All right, my dear friends, know this truth with me. Your life is not a problem to be solved. It's a miracle unfolding. Your job today is to go name your miracle, proclaim your miracle, and to make it your own. God bless us all. Now let us go be the miracle God has called us to be. Until we see each other again, Reverend Ken, many blessings.